Let's go. Let's go.
Meow, hello. Oh, fuck. What the fuck? Oh, I choked on something. God damn it. Meow, hello, chat. Look, I have a surprise for you, okay? I have a surprise, at least for unknown. Look, I have fingers
Did you
now.
wash
I put
your
fingers
ass
today, okay?
today?
Hi, SCP. Thank you for the months. 5 months. Thank you for the 5 months. Oh, this feels so natural. I love this thing so much. Hi. Greetings. Hi, Wars. Hi, it's hi, SCP. Hi, Red. How you be? So, chat. Probably gonna stay here a little bit, like, yep. But, we may have a special guest thing. I don't know. We're gonna play a game today, chat, that I've been kind of wanting to. I literally finished the tutorial before stream. Oh, you're early? I'm shocked. Was I early? I thought I was gonna be late, actually. Look at this. I'm wearing the gloves, chat, today, because I was like, you know what? Why not? And it makes everything so much better. I kind of feel like the finger thing is annoying me, though. Maybe, should I disable this? Fuck you, chat. Oh, wait. I don't think this is set up correctly, but it's fine, whatever, who cares? Fuck you, me, this is you. Me. Add it to every finger so you can see. Should I put in every single finger so you guys can see shit? Oh, it collides too. I think. Maybe. Hi, Knight, how you be? Jesus, SCP. Thank you so much for the 5, bro. Holy shit. You got Ike's, and I was about to say, like, oh, you didn't get anyone. I know. Oh, how are you? I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Oh, okay, so is that game still? I remember when that shit. Is that on Steam? You playing on Steam? Mobile, maybe? I never got into a Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. I was more of a Pokemon person, you know? No Digimon allowed. No new Yu-Gi-Oh! Allowed. No cards. I did like the little triangle, color they had. Like the little pyramid thing. Bro, this is so good. What the fuck? Pyramid. Do you have any tips for putting the engine into the car? So, step 1, remove the old one. What? Look, gloves. Oh god, I don't know. I'll try drinking coffee with this, but I'm not sure if it's gonna go well. Are they waterproof? Maybe I should ask the person if I can do this. Yeah, remove old one, put the new one in, and like duct tape it, glue it together. Be fine. Well, I just had to make an appointment at the dentist to look at me, and that it doesn't hurt yet. I need to go to the dentist. I'm delaying to go to Portugal because it's cheaper, and I can speak and they understand me, so it's a little bit easier. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna hold my controller. How does this look like? Oh, this is kind of cool. What the fuck? I need a little controller on my hands now. Actually, can we do this? Hi, Pink. It's for the cute. You guys are all cute, not me. Let me see if I can actually. Can I get a controller in? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, boys. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it together. Okay. Where's the marketplace? I forgot. The fuck? Is this the marketplace? Menu. No. shit, I forgot how auto works. God damn it. Wait, hold on. I can do this. Create group, collapse sidebar. No, fuck, where's the... Team collapse settings, team elements, switch. Discover, there we go. Controller. I got a Borgi. I can hold you like Borgi now, look. Oh yeah, Nintendo Switch Sport Controller with animations? Holy shit. Alright, chat. I'm gonna do something I never do live, okay? I'm gonna attempt... Wait, this is a character? I don't want a character. I want a prop. Yeah, I want a prop. I want to do something I never do. I'm gonna do something live. Subscribe. We're setting up a controller live. We will attempt. Do the Disney thing. Fuck, I missed. I can do a penis. There you go. You're welcome. It's very thick, actually. Okay, so in my scene, I can add a prop, right? Yeah. And now this prop will be... Shit, I need to find a controller. Such a gorgeous... Thank you so much. Quick animals. Can I just type controller? Pro controller? God damn it. Why is the search bar so bad? Control... What do I do? I swear to God. Switch Pro controller. There we go. Oh shit. Can you see it, chat? The fuck is it? Hold on. Oh, that's bad. Where am I? Okay, we're on the ground. Oh, go crap, look at that. We have a controller. Okay. Okay, hold on. Almost. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, what do I do with this? I can do a penis. Yeah, look. Okay, where? What do I do with this now? It's floating. Can I attach? Transform attach to left paw. No, I'm not attached to left paw. Character? Attach type human body bone. I lost it, chat. It's gone. BB! Oh my god, BB! Cat guy stream. Alright. Join me! Or you're supposed to be here! Where your clothes at? Okay, listen. Okay, you know what? Sure. You know what? There you go. There. I have clothes now. Hi. Don't worry about this. Okay, so I'm trying to... I think the controller is in my head, actually. Oh shit, this is not my controller. Hold on. There's too much shit happening. BB, check your DMs. I may have misunderstood you or something, but check your DM. What the fuck? Can I attach it to my, like, left hand, maybe? I mean, it is there, but, like, I don't... I'm sorry, chat. I need to take my paws off. This is like, in the way. Okay. I will make this fucking work, okay? It is there. Oh, it's fucking... It's my wrist. Okay. Okay. I swear to God. I swear to God. Hold on. How do I spin this? I don't... Help! Help! I thought he broke... No, it's a controller, but like, I'm just gonna hold it like a Borgi, I guess. Why does he not let me spin it? Transform tool. Oh, rotate! Okay. Oh. Fuck, how does it go? How do you look? How the fuck? Like this, right? I'm sorry, Chad. I'm trying my best. Like. How the fuck? I forgot how to hold the controller. I swear to God. Okay, I gotta spin it a little bit. Hey. Okay. We're almost there. I mean, kinda. Hold on, cause kinda, right? Kinda, right, chat? I mean, this is kinda how you hold one. This looks like shit. I'm so sorry. I mean, you know what? That's not that bad. Can I make it bigger? If you hold it one on the S. Can I make it bigger? Why do you want a bigger controller? You can make it bigger. You can if you rub it the right way. Wow. Why can I not make stuff bigger? There has to be a way to make stuff bigger. Like, the fuck? The fuck? Oh, you know what? This is enough. This is enough. This is enough, okay? Okay, this is enough. This is enough. This is enough. This is enough. There. Now I have a permanent controller attached to my hand. It kind of looks cool, not gonna lie. Tiny controller, nice. Listen, it's not about the controller. It's about the way you use it. Alright, turning on the controller actually. Alright, chat, beans and girls, and whatever you are. I'm gonna play Sonic Crossworlds because I bought the game on a discount during the weekend. I'm not sure if it's in a discount yeah already, but Crossworld. No, not Crossword. I'm not. There you go. You will crush it with your hands. Listen, it's fine. I will fuck. Meow. Let me warn you about one thing about this game. I wasn't expecting something. This thing legit has the best soundtrack that I've heard in a game. Except the intro kind of shitty. Really sad, but... Alright, where is LJ?
Traveling so fast, is this the future or the past? No stopping anyone. No stopping anyone.
Rouge a refund? That's fucking everyone, okay? I have SpongeBob. I don't know how, I have SpongeBob. Where the fuck is LJ? I'm sorry, LJ, but I need to remove you because you're occupying too much space. Open network tester. Oh yeah, I was testing this shit when it released. Oh hell yeah! Let me do this, see if it works. Meow, 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 meow. Do I have anyone like thinking that? This is microtransactions. It's not that bad.
Achoo.
Hello! God, the game is so fucking loud.
Achoo.
The game is so fucking loud. Hold on. Shit. No. I can't hear shit. Hello.
Why? What's it like being dead?
Oh god, hear that? Please tell me this has sound setting. Okay, you gotta leave the logic. Oh, there you go. $230. Okay, I think I can hear you now. Hello. Do you like my controller attached to my hand?
No.
Why?
Cause.
I worked very hard for this, okay? Where are you? Over here. Okay, can you teach me how to... I have no idea how to play online. Are we even like friends? You good?
Oh no. No, yeah, I'm fine.
You sound like you're dying.
You said what? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm eating hot dogs.
Understandable.
America.
Actually, I ate 2 cheeseburgers before I came here, and I'm dying. Can we be friends? Yes, everyone can be friends. I'm gonna sip my controller now. Oh no. Oh, that's hot. No share. Yeah, you gotta share hot dogs with the class.
Oh no! Please no! I'm so hungry.
What's hot? The dogs.
What's hot?
Yeah, the dogs are hot.
Do you have me added on Steam?
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I can see you.
Okay, can you send me an invite, maybe?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I'm a boomer playing this, okay? Moving to online mode, yes.
Oh. Want me to make a lobby?
There you go. No, I found you. Oh. I was gonna warn you, chat. This game is gonna make me zone out because it's kind of fast, and then the music is really good. So I'm probably gonna go into I'm not here mode and focus.
Oh
my god, you silver!
Hi! It's no use or some shit.
Okay, how does this shit work? Do we do friend match or world match?
So we can do friend match. It'd be us against each other. World match is us against other people. And then you can do a lobby.
Ooh.
A lobby invites chat to play.
Challenge rival play with 2 to 4 players. Free race. Let's do it. Okay, challenge rival. I don't even know if anyone chat, do you own this game? I kind of play this like out of the blue. Nobody fucking knows. I was gonna do this. Ooh, do I have my...
Do you want the lobby code posted for others to join?
I mean, I guess. I doubt that anyone is gonna join, but we can.
Hold on, I got you. You keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Yeah.
All I ask is that a mod posts this.
Mods. There you go.
That's the lobby code.
Can someone pin that? Wyrens. It's always gonna be Wyrens. You know, I gave Wyrens a lead mod and he unmodded himself. It's amazing. Why are you like so shiny and shit? I'm scared of you.
That's base.
I'm gonna get my ass beat. Swear to God. Oh. Oh, there's no way. You know what? Hell yeah. I'm gonna be SpongeBob.
Oh my god.
I know how to do it on mobile. Wyrens did it, okay. Wyrens is best mod, I think. Was it Wyrens? No, it wasn't. Never mind. My mods hate me so much.
Yo, what?
Which one is your favorite?
Wait, huh?
Oh, hell yeah, Minecraft World.
What? What is happening? You know you
What?
can... Oh, you don't have the DLC.
I bought the deluxe edition on the weekend. It was like $50.
Yeah, but why don't you have those maps? Oh my god.
I really hope it plays the fucking Minecraft music and the SpongeBob theme.
No.
Who is the plan? SpongeBob SquarePants. Alright, this is my second race like ever. So...
Excuse me.
Ow.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Move out of my way.
I just noticed there's no straight lines on this. No curves, I mean. Ow. Mario Kart Sonic, yeah, it's a new one. It's way more speedy and less, I don't know, Mario Karty. I just fucking eat it myself. Ow. Oh, the nether!
Bro, I fucking love this game. It's so much more fun in my opinion. Because like you can have not only the pieces can like contribute to like your build, but also like you can have like a whole separate set of gadgets that contribute towards your build.
Yeah,
I think that's so cool.
Oh shit. This is not Minecraft, what the fuck are we?
This is from I believe it's from Sonic 06.
We don't talk
It's
about
got
that
the
one.
monsters from Sonic 06.
We don't
I
talk
actually
about
just
that
bought
one.
it for the 360. I've only ever played it on PlayStation.
Did they release it like anywhere else? Shit. I don't think, if you have anxiety, I don't think you can play this game. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not that bad.
Play faster than Mario Kart.
Plus you're playing it on a slower speed.
Okay, I'm sorry. Call me out. I
Much
didn't even
love.
see. We can go faster after, okay? There's only finished one time.
Honey, you're fine. I'm just gonna shit on you and blame you
fuck,
for
man.
kind of sucking.
Unless I can get second place. Maybe.
I believe in you.
Oh my god, the end. Are we gonna fight the Ender Dragon?
No.
I can get first place like one time, I believe in myself.
You said you want to get first?
I will get it one time. By my own.
You have to beat me, silly.
Yeah, I know.
Do you want me to stop so you can get first next
Oh,
time?
no. I have to win, like, I have to win by myself, okay? I don't want any PT wins. You get first place in solo run. Oh, fuck. I know more SpongeBob. You're probably like full of power-ups and whatever. It doesn't count.
I mean, you have to. You could turn that on yourself.
I know. I got my
I'd
first
say mess with
achievement.
your cart build. Mess with your cart build, and then mess with your gadgets. I'm gonna go make more hot dogs.
Okay. Do one for me. Do one for me.
Oh, you know what? Yes, just for you.
Yes. While you eat it, you gotta go. It's for snowy. Chad, if you have this game, just let me know. Well, there's a lobby code you can join. I don't know if I didn't warn anyone I was gonna do this, so it's whatever. Okay. Let's see. I have a ton of crap. What is happening here? Okay, let's not play with SpongeBob. They have Sage. I'm gonna go edgy boy. Holy shit. Oh, they have the fucking. Oh, is that the? Wait. Do we have that Tsunemiku? We do have that Tsunemiku. No. Man, buying a game with like a season pass, it's weird. I like speed though. Rouge. Okay, I'll go Rouge for you. Where is she?
Hi there.
They make her so hot, I swear to God. Can we do like a custom machine? More acceleration, less handling and power, more boost. So much crap you can do. You know what? Let's just go. Ooh, wait. Oh, the blaze. Or the no, I want to go with this one. Yeah. Oh my God, there's decals. Not too much of a Sonic fan. How dare you? I'll just go with this one. Fine.
You know, I've never finished Sonic Frontiers. I played it a little bit, got bored.
Same.
I got so fucking bored with it, bro. I feel bad. Cause like everyone and their mother's like, but Sonic Frontiers is so good! And I'm like, yeah, probably.
It's pretty good for like 5 minutes, and then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
I know
I don't know if
everything.
it's the ADHD or the lack of colors. I just get so bored.
It is pretty like, it feels like just a Unity game, you know? Like it's just default. I'm gonna lower the game actually, because I cannot hear her. I don't think this will affect it, chat, but let me know. Maybe I'll put it a little bit lower. Oh, it does affect you? Oh, it does affect you. Let's go a little bit lower though. Do 80. We want to hear the other people, okay? I speak Portuguese.
Freaking dog was trying to eat my hot dogs! Am I angry? Yes. Am I hungry?
Do a
Yes.
game chat.
Will I eat my dog? Yes.
Remember, you gotta
Light
check one
snow?
for me. You gotta
Yes.
scream my name.
What?
No.
Oh, hold on. Let me go on the other side. Hold on. I'll be right back. Oh my gosh.
Okay. I scratch it for the rain, bro. Ugh, I want to make you bigger just because of that. I can customize a gadget. I gotta unlock more. Oh, hi Domino, Hobby. What we do, we're playing Sonic Crossworlds. If you have the game, you can join. There's like a link, like a little code up there. Otherwise, you're just vibing. Tuesdays might do whatever the fuck I want. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do something different. Let's just play a game straight away so everyone hates me.
Did
Huh?
you hear me yell for you in the hot dog? Did you?
I did.
Like,
Do you have like a
I'm
hot
back
dog
with-
machine or you just like doing them?
No, I just
Like-
popped them in the air fryer.
Air fried hot dogs. I actually never thought about that actually. I always just fry them like normally. I had a pack of like 12 hot dogs go bad because I didn't make it in time. I got sad. You don't have a Nintendo? You don't even have a Nintendo. Sonic, you have this on PC if you want to.
Waiting for the host to start the race.
Oh, I was waiting you finished your hot dog.
Why? I'm here to race.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I'm here to race with my friend.
I'm gonna be a racist with me. Okay.
Yeah. I just popped the perk.
I love your little react thing. He's eating a Borgie. What is
Yeah.
like are you a shrimp?
No, I'm a cat. I'm the so like in SpongeBob. There's a little roach.
Oh,
That yeah, like, he just notoriously just sits and eats his little burger. One of the
I
scenes.
said,
it's because of that we're going to Bikini Bottom.
I like that fish staring at us.
I'm gonna lock in chat for a second. We can do this.
Lock in, man.
Let's go.
Snowy VR.
Sorry, I cannot answer. I'm locked in.
No, because you asked a question.
Huh? What?
You said like, oh, who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
Oh, I was still locked in to understand that. I'm sorry. I'm getting screwed. Okay, never mind. Well, the noises Roach does are kind of I don't like. I don't know if I like this.
Oh my god. Oh, you dick! He nudged me.
Oh, God, what?
Yeah, suck my chili.
Well, it sure doesn't suck. I think.
No!
Why is she moaning? I wonder why.
Because winning the race is just so pleasurable. Probably.
Yeah, I actually plays with one hand only, just for extra.
That's the elite strat, dude. Play with one hand.
Ow! What the fuck, man? Oh my god! Can I fucking play the game? Asshole.
No, silly.
Oh my god! I'm getting like fucked here.
Guys, I can't wait for Snowy to win. Deserved to win, actually.
I've spent half of this round as a pancake on the ground.
Deserve it. Deserve it.
I think it's because I picked the road.
Bravo. You have been like checking your specs and stuff for your races, right? Like how
Have
your
I?
car builds. Have you been?
I have to. Maybe I have like,
It's like
two,
certain-
I have two cartridges. I don't have many
Oh
cartridges.
my god, you poor baby.
I don't have anything. Monster water brush, amazing. To be fair, the root screen is kind of don't hit the character. Yeah, I was close. I was close. See?
Did you end it?
I'm catching up. Second place, like right behind you. I could like almost see you on the horizon. Vroom. Hi, Devil Dogs. I was thinking about the Devil Dogs. I got so much shit to do and I keep forgetting. It's fine. We'll do that after.
Is the hot dog? Is it the hot dog?
No, but it can be. Okay, we win against Team Sonic 3 times. Pog, one more and I get a new car. Hey, I got one more slot. There we go. I can do more things now. This is nice. A glizzy. If I finish, I will make a glizzy and eat it on stream. Don't worry. If I finish first.
You want a glizzy if you finish first?
Yeah.
I will personally make you a deluxe glizzy if you finish
a
first.
deluxe glizzy.
Yeah, personally.
You like ship it after or something?
Okay, I'll
Where?
vacuum seal it.
What's the meta on like this thing?
The meta always changes.
Okay. That guy just did blah blah. Oh, a boost starter sucked. There, come on. This looks cool. This looks cool. Do the oh, the characters actually change stuff too. Okay. Cool.
Don't. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
No, teach me.
Lizard.
There's nothing really I can teach you.
Oh,
Lizard.
lizard.
I'm not that good.
Lizard.
I don't know what fucking this thing means. Let's just go another one so I can get my 3 wins. So, how many Sonic game thingies, like racing thingies, I don't know, because I got distracted for like a few months and they released like 5 of them or something. Is this the latest one? Oh, I can pick
Well, there's a lot of Sonic Racing Transformed, and that's if you don't count, like, I think his appearances in other racing games, or if you count the Air Gravity ones. Because there's, or if you count the ones on different consoles as different titles.
Nah. Like, I used to play Sonic Team, no, not Sonic Team Racing, that's another one. All Star. And then I sneezed and they released like 3 of them, and I got so confused. Because like Sonic All Stars Transform, then like Team Sonic Racing, and then this crap, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Stop! Alright, lock in. Ooh, okay, that was nice.
I'm gonna be honest, I rarely ever get to just play this game, and it hurts my heart. Because like usually when I'm playing this game, I'm playing it with somebody else, or I'm playing it with community. This game is a lot of fucking fun.
Only for fun, I feel you. Barely have time to play games.
Hello.
Thank God I joined the tutorial. I finished the tutorial before this. Oh, okay, thank you. God damn.
Now's my chance.
Oh, that's my asshole.
The first time I tested this, I got upset because I couldn't do like a drift jump like Mario Kart. Like, that's fun, it's getting unplayable. Oh, come on there. I don't think so. I don't remember.
Pathetic sucker. You did
Oh my
Bugs like
god.
ghosts. Ah, shit. I hate that. Come
No,
on.
the fuck? Get the fuck back over here, dude.
I know the drifting on does start a little bit. This one is more glued to the ground, I guess. Oh shit.
Bye, fucker. Trying to take my first place spot. You done lost your goddamn mind.
No! Oh! I got magnetized.
I'm so sorry, that was mine.
Oh, fucking
Of
donk.
course.
And I make a few spark plugs with it. Fucking rock. Just ADHD type little fuck.
Do
Have
you
the
know a lot of
conversation in your
Germans?
hand.
I have to
Huh?
ask. Do you know a lot of Germans?
Do you know the what?
Do you know a lot of Germans?
Yes, there's a shit ton of them. There's
No,
so
do
many
you?
German furries.
Do you know a lot of Germans?
Yeah,
Okay.
but what's a lot? I mean,
I
if
have
you...
to start. I have to start sending you memes then.
Oh, what memes? Is it the stupid German memes I found on Instagram? Just like cats and shit?
No, it's like hanging out with your German friend, dating your German friend.
Please send me. I need to send this to them. I know so many Germans. There's like Kevin,
me see if I can find them. Hold on.
For fuck's sake.
I sent it to my one friend, and he's like, actual
Kira.
Germans.
Kira.
I hear.
Let me. Oh my god! What the fuck? Nipple jump scare.
Ah, this joke is acceptable. We are
This
having
joke is
fun now.
acceptable.
That is the funniest thing I have ever heard in my life. It really made me laugh.
You know Kira, right?
I don't know.
Okay, Kira is German. That's all you need to know. And I invite them to the Life Healers thing I do, and I'm like, I was like, well, I'm not inviting any more Germans to this shit. Because they literally do that shit, like, ooh, that is the funniest thing. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Okay, I got these cards.
I hear you
Is it
talk
better?
about Kidder quite a bit, though.
I don't like the tone you just did.
Kidder.
Kira.
Kidder.
Ooh, wait.
Kidder.
I'm gonna ask Tsunamiko.
Kidder.
No, fuck it, whatever. It's fine. I'm learning. I'll learn. It's okay.
You got this.
Remember
You got
Hoosians.
this.
I forgot Kira. Poor Kira. Okay, listen. I interact with Kira too much, and then I forget he's German.
That's insane.
Is metal German? I don't fucking know, actually. Man, I hate my memory. Okay, ooh, Child Park. Yes. Sometimes
Maybe you could set it so we could all vote, or it could be random.
No, I'm a dictator here. I'm sorry, you have no...
Ugh.
I didn't even know that was possible. I'll do it next time. You came into my stream and telling me what.
I'm telling you how to play the game that you don't know how to play. How are you upset? You know what, chat? This is my stream now. Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood roach.
Probably
We're gonna
like
play the game.
Me.
That is not true. I am not a blue gay cat on the internet.
Okay, first of all, I'm not gay or cat.
What the hell is an or cat?
My new song is an or cat.
An or cat? Are you like an orca?
An orca. An orca don't go hard on shit. Ow!
So what the fuck are you?
I don't know. I don't really like. That's a problem I have actually. I'm gonna for him. Whenever people ask me, I say I'm black and white, bro. Everything else is free real estate. Do you know how I commission my avatars, like my pictures? Oh god, this mic is fucking with my head. I don't like these at all. I give them like the, you know, they ask me, okay, so what do you want? And I just tell them, this is my design. make it black and white, and then you can do whatever you want. And usually they come up with a lot of bullshit. I like it.
It's that simple?
I'm like, you can ask anyone I work with me, even my editors. I do like no revision. I don't care. Oh fuck. No! I am cat fox coded. I've been told that though. I've been acting more like a cat lately.
I was gonna say, every time I see you, you're a fucking cat.
Because I'm small. I'm small around here.
Hi, Derp! Sorry, I told Derp I was doing that.
Hi, Dory.
If he wasn't busy, he was gonna come join us by force.
Aw. Can he join us by force anyway?
No, he's busy.
Ow, okay, this map fucking sucks. I'm sorry, I don't like it.
Final lap.
What do you mean final lap?
Not so. Stop getting hit with all my stuff!
I don't know, it on purpose. It's like, oh wait, is that baby's magnet? Oh fuck yeah. Give me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I have so many turbos. Holy shit, let's go. Let's share myself against the wall. Yep, fine. The worst race yet. Don't question me. It's assuming Nico. I don't like her.
What? Niko's the fucking best! You watch your tongue, bro.
Not gonna lie, this round was like foggy to me. I don't know what the fuck I did.
Oh, I did it.
No, he's Miku, therefore he loses. See? Exactly.
Miku is the best! If I switch to Miku and I get first place, I'm gonna make you look so
You're gonna get
stupid.
first place anyway. It doesn't really fucking matter.
What are you talking about? I'm trying my best.
You can play like as the Pac-Man ghost, and you probably win.
The Pac-Man ghost is good!
I don't know who sucks in this game. I have no idea. Look, get a chariot.
Yeah, look
Like
at
a
you. You're
tourist.
winning. You're doing good. Doing good.
Maybe I have something for you. I've been sharing this with my friends, so I feel better about myself. Wait, where are you? Look, I made this thing because I'm getting old.
You are pretty old. Hold on, let me see what you made.
What the fuck do you mean?
Let me take a gander. Hold on.
You're supposed to be like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Ooh, okay. Yay. That's pretty good.
That's funny as shit.
I had this fucking idea, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna be 30 in April. I'm gonna start miming my age.
You're gonna be 30? What
Don't
day?
say
Hold on,
like
let me
that.
see if
What
I
the
wrote it.
fuck?
Let me see. Let me see. Wait, did I write down your birthday? When's your birthday? April what?
April 5th.
Oh yeah, we talked about this because mine's the 9th.
Yeah, we should do a party together.
Oh, I wasn't gonna plan anything, but I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever. I don't care.
Yeah. And the party's gonna
Hi,
consist of
Poppins.
like just me and you playing Sonic and nobody else. That's it.
Hold on, let me make a little announcement to my server. Let them know that I'm hanging out with you. Hold on. 'Cause I don't think I
Make
look
sure
like
you say
girl.
D Snowy instead of.
No, I'm just gonna link your shit.
Oh, okay.
It makes more sense. Yeah.
It'd be funny if you just say you read mid and don't link anything. Imagine turning 30. Oh, listen. You're all behind me. You're not gonna be that far away. It's gonna go fast, and I'm still gonna be 30, and you guys are also gonna be 30. So I'm gonna make fun of you. I like Sage.
Papa. Papa.
I found that song is like an Afro Soul version of Papote, and I was like, oh, this sounds good. I'm gonna use it to bully myself.
It is pretty funny.
Whenever it starts to really wither. What do you mean that's when your body starts to really wither? It's actually 25. Nah, not gonna lie, I'm better now than I was before, bro. I'm hitting the gym
He
like
said-
super consistently. No, I am.
He said, I'm better now that my frontal lobe has fully developed. Hi, Blue!
Okay, I forgot to, like, how does this work if we do, like... I think I...
Wait, did I change my shit?
I don't think so.
I'm not the Chad Shadow. What the fuck? I'm not the Chad Shadow.
Chad
That's not
Shadow?
me.
No, that's me. I'm
Yeah,
the
you-
Chad Shadow. I'm trying
Yeah, I'm
my
not
best.
changing.
I'm trying my best to fucking win this. I gotta go with Shadow. Nice call.
I do have a very
You know
nice
what?
call.
Yeah, I remember. It look. I
Oh.
remember. It looks like. I remember the first time I saw it. It looked like an elephant, though. It was crazy.
Okay. All right.
Who are you? Okay, here's Silver. Hi, everyone from BBs, by the way. Hello. Oh, Kronos. Wait, is this the?
Use the virgin. Yeah. It's no use, man. I'm stealing your bitch. It's no use.
Omega. I gotta go to Omega. After. Smoke some weed and be like, holy shit. I love these videos.
Die, heathen.
This is almost how I do. Oh, it's giving me shit. Very nice.
See you next time.
Hi, Shelly.
I know you're behind me. Please be gentle.
Hi, Shelly.
I can't. It distracted me. I fucking went up to
Hi, Shelly.
Stop! I don't like this.
Hi, Shelly.
I feel anxious.
Hi, Shelly. Hi, Shelly. Come here, Shelly.
I'm using our platform just to be fucking behind me.
See you next at the play.
My best back. I did my best. I was in first place for like 20 seconds. I will take it.
I love having a truck.
Let's see,
Just back for more.
Homo child.
I like how Oma Child just gave me like the same shit I just had back. Just shuffled the placement, I guess.
Ow! This stupid fucking button thing. It's doing everything. I swear this is not a skill issue. They actually hate me.
Maybe they do. I'll tell you about it.
I wasn't fucking.
See you next time.
No, that was shit. That was very good. That was very good actually. that was so good. Fifth place. I'll hold my
did
breath, I
good.
just end up by saying, what are you guys talking about?
You did good,
Goodbye.
Stinky. You did good.
I was doing good, then I got like, just everything was on me.
That's Sonic Racing, bro. The more like IRL people that join, it's gonna suck. I like my little crown though. It's pretty cool. Do you like my crown?
It should be mine.
I like the way it floats on my head. Oh,
Yeah.
whatever.
So
I
pretty.
think it's perfect. Okay.
If you have anyone else wants to join, by the way, just there. Oh my god, I have like a pirate fucking Knuckles. Dread. Oh god. I'm gonna be a creeper.
Oh man.
Oh man. What makes you choose your color palette? In the game or in my Sona? Because if it's my OC, I actually have a reason. Okay, how do I make you able to, like, you know, fucking pick up the text and shit? I have no idea what I'm looking at. My Sona? So, the blue is just like blue, actually. But the dual color is, like, in real life, like, the white part of my body is more sensitive than the left one. And my left eye, like, is really bad. So I tried an avatar with black and white before, like split in the middle, and it felt really nice in VR. So I just kind of took it and made my own thing, and the blue is just like blue. Like whenever I use non-dual color things, it feels weird. Maybe I have like some sort of issue, I don't know, but like if you touch like my right neck, for example, IRL, I will punch you. But the left is fine, because I don't feel much.
Oh, okay. So if you press, if you're playing on controller, press the start button. It's gonna get you up to the rules. It's like the edit, the little 3 lines. And then you're going to change it to Sonic speed if you have that. There's like a thing that's all the way to the right that says like change the rules. All the way to the right. It's like hold on. Yeah, it's like the 6 options. It's the bottom right.
Extreme
Bottom
match?
right. I think so. I thought do quick match. Yeah, it's extreme match. Extreme match.
Oh.
Like, click extreme match.
Oh.
Yeah. And then it's gonna get you like a separate set of rules. And then there should be something like at the bottom right that says like edit the rules. So then like it should say something. It should say like edit rules. I can't tell. I can't
think
tell.
I have that actually. Do I? I can do a little
I can't
creeper hill.
tell. I can't tell. Because it's
No,
like
I
in
don't
that little menu you were in. It was in that little menu you were in. The one with all like the 6 things on it.
Yeah.
And then you're able to alter the map. You could choose the map, and you could choose like the what's it called, things that you can change.
I don't think I can.
Can you promote? Can you promote me to the leader really quick? I want to see it. I want to see it.
Does that even work? View players probably, right?
I think so.
I can kick and block you.
Well, let's not do that. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going, dude.
The game is like, yeah, bro,
let's keep-
you kind of suck. We're not gonna allow you to change anything. Dervish,
not
if
do
you're
that,
still here,
let's-
why did you choose your color palette? I assume it's like fox.
He's a fucking dragon.
A
Believe
dragon.
it.
I thought for the longest time it was just like a little fox. I kind of regret my he's autistic. That's why. What do you mean? Say that.
That is insane.
I don't we all.
Carry on,
We're dogs online.
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
think we
no, 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 not me. Not me. No, no, no.
can- No? Okay.
I didn't get the diagnosis.
That's what I say! That's what I say! I don't have it
Until I get the
official.
diagnosis. Yeah.
If I don't have it on paper, you can say it. It's offensive. I'm sorry, chat. If you never get diagnosed, you'll never have it.
Yeah.
You can use
It's like
the
with
same
all
like
major diseases and sicknesses.
if you have cancer, just don't go to a doctor.
having fun on the internet.
You know, I think a grip is not very aerodynamic. I don't know if this is gonna work out. Hello.
Good luck.
And every time what the fuck is this? Oh my god, when I do tricks, you hear the little. I'm sorry, I thought. I apologize. It should be there. You should fucking get it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm dodging arrows.
Hi, Snowy. Bye, Snowy.
Every time you see me, you gotta go, oh man.
No.
I can pick a track finally. Let's do this one.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I did the thing.
You did it.
The way these changes is like really... Ow, okay, not supposed to hit that.
Hi, Snowy.
You know, the only way I passed it was because I had 3 homing missions. Oh no 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 no! Oh god. But I mean everyone's shooting at for you. If I win, they'll decide. So question, I've ever played the Sonic Colors.
You never played Sonic Colors?
Oh really? When I used to be into Sonic a lot, I saw Colors and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? It's different than I'm more used to. I don't like this at all.
Maybe you are on the spectrum. Hi,
The thing I like slightly changed. I'm obsessed.
Hi, Snowy.
No! Oh, now I'm getting screwed by everyone else. Great. Okay, fuck this game, man.
That's how the game works.
No! It's just a fuck. Okay. Fine.
Isn't it great? Isn't it just your favorite? Did you just hit me with all 3 of them?
No! No! I was really close though! Wait, no! No! No, 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 no. I'm sorry!
Yeah!
Oh, oh fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ. I almost lost a billion positions.
Dickhead!
I have to play directly to get a 1. Just 1. Hey, Nakano, thank you for the raid, bro. It's like so close. This is cool. I gotta play with these gloves more. I'm using the VR gloves thing in order though. It looks really cool.
Oh yeah? Let me borrow them. Let me borrow your cool VR gloves.
You got them used or washed? I'll do a 24 hours limit and I'll send them.
That sounds really fucking
I mean, I can probably hook you up with them if you want to, actually.
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell them. They're really good. Have you tried the AirPing with this? It's amazing. I'm joking. I never did that. I'm sorry. Are they good to intercom? What? Chat, pick my character. What should I pick? Oh, they have Storm. Picking guys from Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes.
Are we just gonna ignore the comment about the ERP?
Yeah, we are. Rouge, come on, something new. I wanna go with Omega. I cannot look at Omega without going, holy shit. I can put more gadgets. Ah, fuck, I cannot put more gadgets yet. Why did you ask? I'm interacting with you. Okay.
What?
Oh, your knife. I just saw your knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just picking random shit. Let's go like by order. We're going like first. I think one of the games, I mean, except Sonic Adventure or whatever, I spammed that game as a kid. One of them that I played the most was, I think it was Heroes. The one who had like 3 characters and that like do stuff together. On the PSP or something. My I'm old. Jesus.
I have it too, pretty old, yeah.
How old are you? I don't even know.
I'm 47.
Ah,
I'm lying, by the way, but
20 more
like,
years.
how are you gonna fact check me?
Yeah, from now on I'm just gonna stalk you until I...
No!
I'll be watching all your streams, see if you sleep up any single time. Like you're gonna show a window, I'm gonna put on Reddit. I'm like, alright, boys, here's triangulate from the sun. Have you seen that?
No.
You remember that guy, the Shia LaBeouf, and He Will Not Divide Us? That thing was insane. If you don't know Shia LaBeouf, I don't even know how the fuck he put like a webcam, and they were screaming He Will Not Divide Us. I think it was from Donald Trump. People kept fucking everything up by going to the system and being racist, obviously. That's it.
Oh shit, my dick and
I
balls!
fell the same place as you. God.
It's because we were fucking going forward, the little bitch.
And he eventually got mad that people kept fucking with his thing, right? So he put the camera pointing at the flag in the middle of the desert, or like nowhere. Motherfuckers on Reddit triangulated.
Oh.
Like, bro, I cannot fucking move. What the fuck? They used like the star
I
that
got
appeared on the
dicked. I got
webcam.
dicked. I'm so mad. Anyways, hi Snowy. Hi
What the fuck?
Snowy.
How?
Hi Snowy.
God damn it. Shia LaBeouf. No, but okay, so the guy put like a webcam with a flag in the middle of nowhere, nobody knew. And people on Reddit
Bye.
triangulated like where the sun was rising, the stars, like airplanes, and they found the fucking thing. Dude,
That
insane.
is terrifying, bro.
And then he put at the final one, he put the flag inside the house, like streaming. They found it because of how the sun hit the wall and reflected off the wall. They found the region, and then they searched like they searched like the property logs or whatever, and see like someone who it was crazy. And then one dude went like, oh, did I fucking win? Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, let's go! Shia LaBeouf, bro!
Shia LaBeouf, you channeled his energy and you won.
That's
You
because of
channeled the
Omega.
energy of Shia LaBeouf.
No, like, they had one dude walk around neighborhoods and honking the horn to see when he appeared on stream. They were literally playing like hot and cold. Like, the louder he was, the closer he was. It's insane.
That is insane. Holy fuck.
I saw 47 is a crazy random age. What do you mean? What does that mean? Okay, I won. I should be selected more often. Instead of having my shitty brain make the decisions, I let my subconscious play, and I win because I'm stupid. Win thanks to Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf. Is that guy still
Shia
alive?
LaBeouf.
I think it was going crazy or something. Sure. You should do the same with Twitter told you. Bro, BB, do you have the same thing where I try hard doing like content, right? And it's just shit. And then I post the most brain dead, like zero brain cell thing, and it beats everything. I want like it's I don't understand. I don't understand, man. The less brain cells I put into one content, the better it goes. It's like literally.
I want to say the same thing happened. The same fucking thing happened. I posted something really stupid that took off. It took off on like Shitter and TikTok.
I know.
And like, and I'm just like, I don't get it. But
it's like I try hard sometimes. I do this whole thing, record and whatever. Bleh, flop. I did one video, which fuck, what was it? I actually forgot what the fuck I did now. Oh, it was like a COVID like nostalgia sad thing. And I mean, it did okay, but the world had a shrimp quartet, and I got distracted spinning the thing, and that did like 1 billion times better than the video where I try hard. And I spent time. I literally recorded, cut it, ship it. Didn't do anything.
what's it like being funny?
What's
it like being that guy?
You gotta ask Darvish for that. I am sorry, I'm very boring. I'm
wanna
Portuguese,
ask Darvish,
bro.
I'm asking.
My voice is like monotone.
I'd say your voice is calming.
I know, right? Finally boring.
You dickhole!
Oh, I have the thing. How does this work? Am I flattening people? I don't know. Maybe. Jesus Christ, this game's a fucking water zone.
Anyways,
They should put Super Mario in here just for the fun. Well, why not? Didn't they have a collab? What happened to Sonic and Mario on the Olympic Games?
that's a great question.
I think they stopped. I haven't seen one yet. That's so cool. I got a boot gun.
Oh my god.
So much crap on it.
Oh my god, there's so much shit happening. It is so hard to be good when there's so much shit happening.
Yeah, I blame the game.
I blame the settings. I blame whoever put these settings on.
I don't even know what the settings are. I'll pick the things that will allow me to go forward in the map. What the fuck did I just do?
Holy shit, that was nothing.
Actually, now that I think, I didn't ask you about it, Jaden. I think I actually own a Chia pet. Like one of those like Chia. I have this like faint memory of having a thing had cream as a kid. Like a little weird small doll that grew hair. Is that a Chia pet or something?
That is a Chia pet.
I don't know.
I never had a Chia pet, but I've always wanted one. But then now as an adult, I realize how stupid they were.
Yeah, it's so
because they're
dumb.
literally, I don't know how much they charged you, but chia seeds are like nothing, and then all you need is the pot. So like,
did we have like a fucking something called chia seeds? What the fuck? I don't know how to say it. Chia seeds on the kitchen.
chia seeds.
Yes.
Chia seeds. Chia seeds.
Okay, this fucking round is bad.
I mean, I hate it. I was fighting that ghost at the last second, and like, I literally boosted right as he hit me. Oh god, fuck that ghost.
Quiet. I'm actually. There we go. I'm gonna increase it a little bit. I'm being kind of chill. I'm not screaming. I think that's why. There we go. I increased it a little bit.
Sorry, I'm definitely screaming.
It's okay. That's why you're here. You're like the polar opposite of me. I'll be chill and you blow up everyone's eardrums. You know, I hated my voice before streaming.
I still hate my voice.
I mean,
I
same,
still
but
hate it.
the amount of people that say they like my accent kind of offset my hate for my voice. I'm like, you know what? I'm starting to believe you guys. Let me change these little dudes. Let's go with Shadow. Start screaming. I don't think I can be like, you know, Bubbles or something. Ooh, that's kind of
Yeah,
creepy.
I definitely couldn't do that.
I love Bubbles though. He's fucking amazing. Have you met him, Myrel?
Yeah, I like a couple of years ago, he did his first ever subathon, and one of the goals was for me to fly out. So somebody helped me pay for a ticket, and I flew out there and I waxed him.
What the I did not. When? What the fuck? Did I miss this
There's
shit?
like literally a clip of me holding him down, like leg locking him and waxing him. He's screaming his ass off.
I didn't know this was a possibility. Can I do this?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm surprised he let me, but that was like the first time I met him IRL. I went
That's
over
so
there, I
fucking
stayed with him for a few
funny.
days, and then we hung out, and then I left. And it was a lot of fun.
Sad part
It's
of being
so
European is
funny.
all my cool friends are in the US.
Yeah, but it's not like, it's not cool to be American right now. So. it's not.
Not trendy anymore, sadly.
No, it's not. Especially with like all of these laws that are getting repealed to, you know, keep us alive and safe.
Oh, I
you
saw
know,
one of the
don't-
latest ones and I was like, okay. I know.
The CO2 one?
Oh, that's probably another one. What the fuck? What's the CO2 one?
So
I
he
saw-
repealed something that would protect our air and corporations from polluting
Yeah, but
our
like-
air.
Why do you need air? Like to breathe or something? Like
What did the
whatever.
fish say when he swam into a wall? Down.
I saw they posted like this fucking AI generated thing on one of the official accounts of the start and stop on cars, and I was like, what?
Oh my god.
Like, it was about like, oh yeah, you're gonna be hot or whatever if you have something like that's not how AC works, bro. My car.
I'm gonna wait
what?
for you to get out of that. Yeah, you can have that.
Oh, okay. So, you like my win? Did you goop
I
on
like
me?
you getting hit with that goop. No! No! No!
Yeah.
Never mind!
Oh, fuck. Shit.
Yeah.
It's been so far away. For me, it's not the US beans that trigger me. Because they're from the US, it's fine. What makes me
Yeah, everyone just
sad
says we're
is...
stupid, so.
What?
Everyone's just like, oh, they're fucking from the US. They're sensitive and stupid.
I like guns and burgers and hot dogs and whatever. They let them be.
But don't trample on my rights or you're an asshole.
No, what the fuck?
Oh, sorry, oopsies.
Did I just hit myself?
That would be so fun.
Alright, what makes me sad is my European friends have the same time zone as me, but they wake up at like 8 PM. And I'm like, okay, you guys... This is unfair. At least the US ones have an excuse. Like Minikain, for example, he has the same time zone as me. I haven't seen him in 2 years. Actually, I seen him a few days ago. I digress. I think I hit you, I'm sorry.
No, but I know I hit you with that thingy.
I dodge it. I go really fast. Fuck. There's 2 of them? 3! What the fuck? Go away! I can't fucking see you, man. Stop! What the fuck? Oh my god.
See, it's the wings. They added drag to the car.
That was
so
actually
now you're
ass.
going
20.
super slow.
That was actually like 20 seconds of me getting fucked by things. Fine. The edgy card can't save me. Normal day. Just a normal day. Me getting bullied. It's fine. Apparently I'm bullyable.
I'd say so, yeah.
Wow. like support. Like, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's okay. Ooh, I got like a shitty car, Hyper Scorpion.
It's a shit car.
Is it? It looks like shit.
I don't know.
It was like a block. I don't like it. I go by looks, not by performance. We don't care about that here. I don't need to win when I can look pretty. By the way, if you want to change anything, just let me know, because I'm just going for it. Ooh, that's kind of... Nah, I don't like that. Triple team ring, triple team tap, double team dash, quick max, extreme match. Oh, no wonder, we're playing with only heavy hitter items.
Yeah, I told you that was happening.
No wonder I'm getting shit on every 5 seconds. Okay, let me see the new car. What is it? You know what's good on me? Why not? Yeah. I love streaming at Tuesdays because like I wake up at 6 a.m. So I basically end this and fucking sleep. Fun. I miss being a full-time creator, actually.
Are you not?
No, not anymore. Ooh, did you do a photos? Oh, there's the song! Oh. Oh, fuck yeah. I miss being broke, yeah. No, I stopped because I wanted to have a career, so... I think at the end of the day, it's kind of smarter. Pushing 30, I can't be a VTuber, are you kidding me? No, but I moved countries and got a new job, so I'm way better now, financially.
Me when I gotta go fast.
Gotta go faster, 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 faster.
Ew. Stop! Yeah!
You don't like Sonic X?
It's cringe and it hurts. Yes, I watched Sonic X.
Okay.
Did I like Sonic X? No.
Aw, come on. I used to wake up at like 5 a.m. as a kid to see it.
Ultimate mistake, Shadow.
To be honest, I was like 10, so I don't fucking know what was going on, but I don't even know how old I was actually. We had the little fucking onion girl that I seen before. I forgot her name. She died or whatever.
Onion? Cosmo?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, you knew who it was.
Of course I knew who it was. I am unfortunately a Sonic fan.
I don't think you can say you're a diagnosed if you're a Sonic fan.
You said you don't think I can what?
I don't think you can say you're undiagnosed if you're a Sonic fan.
That's so not true. Look at me saying it.
What the fuck is happening? Why do I have like I don't know what is happening. Well, we go for the vibes. I have like an infinite boost thing. What the fuck is this? Why does it stop? We also have infinite boost. What the fuck is happening? Sonic Underground. Oh,
Nice,
Sonic
Sonic.
Underground too. No, you fucking come back. I like Sonic Underground, but not as much as Sonic X. I'm sorry, I don't know why. I think it was the first one I always watched. You didn't like Sonic Boom? Sonic Boom is good.
Sonic Boom is so funny.
It's really fucking funny. They have a crap ton of like... Maybe you didn't see enough, I guess. I was kind of sad about Knuckles, but then I watched it a bit and I'm like, okay, no, this is actually pretty cool. So fucking funny. A little bit different. Come on. Oh, so close.
Was that you?
Yeah? I was like grinding on your. See, I'm improving.
You are.
How are you getting shit here? I don't know.
Dude, you got first!
Wait, what the fuck? No, I definitely didn't.
That's whatever, who cares?
No, you were obviously first place. What is my car longer or something?
Nah, you got it. Can we take it off of extreme weapons though? I'm tired of everything and their mother hitting me.
Oh, I forgot how many Sonic games there are. A shit ton. I mean, the ones I played, I don't even know. Let's do a quick match, I guess. Ah, look at my crown! Look at that! Have a little crown. You like my crown?
It's undeserved. That's supposed to be for me.
We're gonna stay in this menu for like 2 hours now because I. What do you mean undeserved? I tried very hard.
I need it.
You gotta beat me up for it.
No.
You wanna know how undiagnosed I am? So, you know I have a motorcycle, right? So, I got the exact replica as a die-cast small thing, and it goes vroom vroom on my desk. It revs up. Let's see, can you hear it? Look. It's revving up. Oh shit, it fell. Well, it's fine. Oh god, I don't want to make it stop now. Help! Pumpkin. Oh, it's opposite. Okay. Ah, fuck, goddamn it. Shut the fuck up. It's fine. That's really pretty.
I like your little face when you squint. Oh. Me too, man.
But first we can see no proof it happened. You can literally go back on the stream. What do you mean? It's actually not me playing, it's someone else. I'm just pretending. I got my big brother here.
Do you have a big brother?
No.
Oh. Are you an only child?
No, but I'm the big brother.
Oh, that must suck.
What? Why?
You're the older brother? I would hate that.
Yeah, that's why I try so hard to, like, you know, succeed at everything, because I can't... No weaknesses here whatsoever. I'm not only the first born, I'm also the first at, like, going to college, first at this, first at that, so it's like, no pressure! No pressure whatsoever. Okay, this map sucks. Got it. Oh my god! Yeah, no pressure, sure. I don't have a terrifying fear of failure, and that's why I try hard at everything.
For real, dude. I got compared to my sister who got straight A's all the time, up until the point where I just was like, I could try, and I got straight A's.
Okay. You know what? Okay, you got straight A's. I think it's worse to be the second child.
It was.
Because for example, I don't have anyone that I'm like, oh, I could fuck up if I wanted to. Fine. They can be like, see, can't you be more like you or whatever? I feel like you're a second child and you do a little bit worse. It's kind of like, I don't know. I can say like my sister for example. Because I tried so hard, they were like expecting the same, and people aren't the same.
It was stressful, I'm not gonna hold you. Because like, they were always like, okay, well she's getting straight A's, she's quiet. How come you're not doing that? How come you're not blah 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 bling? And I was like, oh.
See, she's quiet. Okay, don't shut the fuck up like you're... Oh, I got good fun. It's okay, when we are parents, we're not gonna do the same.
What?
Yeah.
See, that is very bold of you to assume I am shooting any children out of my hoo-ha.
Didn't even shoot them.
Well, they gotta go somewhere.
I'll carry them for you.
I love a man who will literally get pregnant for me.
Those are the best, Karen, not gonna lie.
Honestly.
Is this like a whole stupid meme of like Mpregs now? I cannot fucking... What place did I get? I didn't even know what was happening. I'm
I'm
pretty
not
sure you
gonna
finished
hold you.
first,
I love the thought of a man being pregnant. It
Okay,
just
Seahorse,
soothes my
okay.
soul.
right? There's a whole Mpreg thing going on in the fandom now. We went from feet to vor, and now it's this. I can't post a stupid like announcement on my... Okay, I'm gonna go to my Discord right now. I'm pretty sure there's an Mpreg reaction on it. Okay, no, you
Hi,
guys actually...
Zen!
Okay, never mind. You guys behaved. Cool. Hey, Zen.
That's my friend. That's my friend of like something years. They are great.
He's mine now.
Be nice to them. No, they're not. Die.
What? No, I gotta let him shoot.
Mine first. Mine
Mine.
first. Mine.
BB's friends are exclusive. You become BB's friends and you don't have any more friends.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
When you're my friend, you're my friend.
I think I like this combo. Do I have any more gadgets? No. You don't need any more friends. Got no choice in any.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, they're kind of.
Oh, there's someone else here.
That's Zen.
Oh fuck! I didn't even
They
see.
came to play.
If you want to join the call, you can add them. I don't mind.
You want them to join the call?
I mean, I don't mind if you want to.
I don't care.
We're vibing today. We go to the Pac-Man village.
Hold on.
There is Hyper
Are you-
Mpreg
are you
and Mpreg
in?
with the What are you talking about?
What?
With a rat? Oh, you mean the emote? Maybe he doesn't like to share us. It's okay, I don't mind. You can share. I can share my.
I don't like sharing. I'm
More
so
often I got
firm on
put in the
that.
text share, bro. I'm kind of like whatever. I'm used to it.
What?
I'm used to it at this point.
What?
involuntary.
We're not skimming over the cuck chair comment. We're not skimming over the cuck chair comment.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say anything. No, okay, I'll explain. Every time I meet someone, right? Fuck, okay. Fuck, I can't speak on this map.
Whoa.
Every time I meet someone, and I'm like, oh cool, this person is cool. Presents person to partner. Partner goes like, hey
Oh
yo,
yeah,
I'm
your
like, okay,
girlfriend is
whatever.
pretty great.
See? I keep
to
saying the
tell
meme,
you.
I'm like, I'm just gonna go to the, as long as you guys give me Nintendo to play while you guys, whatever, it's fine, it's not mine, whatever, I'm used to it at this point. There's some co-op. Are you taking him actually? Bibi?
Yeah? Huh?
Are you taken?
No, I'm single.
Okay. I was gonna say, if you had someone, we can be on the quick couch playing Nintendo Switch together.
I've been single for like 6 years.
You hear that, chat? You guys gotta be weird and put a social now. Oh, I'm sorry, Zed. I thought they were a random person. That's why we love LJ. Oh yeah, we don't talk about that. Fine. He doesn't need to know. We have
Get away from me, dude.
Oh, take my ball. Oh. We have a Barian.
Zen, don't you dare! I swear to God!
Oh, I'm in ninth place. I gotta lock in.
Oh, Zen! Zen! It's literally only you. It's literally only you. It's literally only you. And no one else is hitting me except you.
Yeah, he hates you. Get him.
Oh.
I found the strategy. I gotta put them. Put them against each other. I gotta win. Shit.
God, I'm in 12.
Get eaten by Pac-Man Buddha, man. You're in 12?
Yes!
Man, must suck to be you.
Oh, I will not take that from you, dude. I will not.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Ultimate victory.
I take it back.
I'll give you one. But Zen, you can actually eat my ass. I am so glad Zen didn't finish first.
Oh my god, you got
both
fucked.
Can eat my
Holy
ass.
shit.
I did! They just kept hitting me from the front somehow.
We're not even. We're not.
And it was only them! No one else! No one fucking else!
Then you gotta hit it from the someone else now, not the front. In chaotic sweet times.
Biscuit, why do I think you did something? You're not fucking sorry! Hi, Biscuit.
No,
You wanna come
Tell
on my
her
lap?
about LJ.
You wanna come on mommy's lap? Yeah? You wanna come play with me?
For a moment, I thought you were talking to me, and I was like, hell yeah.
No! My daughter. My daughter. My daughter.
Is that a cat or a dog? I forgot.
It's a dog. Oh, you just wanted the food, you fat fuck.
I'm pretty sure you showed me before. I don't remember. Every time a friend of mine says like animal, I'm like, share right now.
She's my whole world.
I gotta go early sleep today. Goodbye,
Let's
Warren. Have a
inflate
good
her
night.
lol.
Let's inflate. What do you mean?
You better not be talking about my dog.
What brand of dog is it?
Brand?
Yeah, what brand?
Khakis?
The what now?
I don't know what the fuck. She's not a brand. If you mean a breed, I don't know.
Yeah, breed. I was joking.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's from Walmart actually. What breed is it?
God. I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't know. She's just a dog. I kind of like
a
that.
cat. You sound like a cat person, because usually dogs are like, oh, it's a mix of fucking husky with Pomeranian whatever, and cat people are like, I found him outside on the street. He's a cat.
Really? I always hear the opposite. Like, cat people usually
No.
know what the fuck their cats are.
Actually, I don't think so. I mean, my cats are random, at least.
Stop. 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 Mommy wants to play video games.
So it's basically like I am. Honestly, random dogs are my favorites. Those were the best dogs I've ever had, ever.
Dang BB in 11th. Looks
Yeah,
like a
same.
skill issue to me. Kek.
I've only had 2 dogs, this being my second. But
I've
I like
had,
her, she's great.
I guess 3 now, but we moved countries, so kinda, I don't think it counts anymore. I'm sad. High voltage.
Oh, I hate this map. I don't count my first dog because my first dog was like a family dog.
Oh, okay. So yours, like you.
Yeah.
I mean, all my dogs are family dogs, but they're still in my childhood, I guess. But if you go by that, I never had a dog by myself. They don't let me have a dog here, man. I'm sad. I need to buy my own house. We can't have
Please skip,
animals.
please. Please skip, please. Let mommy play! Please! Please let mommy play!
Fuck, I got fucked. I'm gonna play this more so I can unlock the other speeds. This looks fucking insane.
Oh my dick and balls.
Just my chance.
I want a cat. Me too. Frenzy time! Let's go!
I feel like cats are cool for like 2 minutes.
What do you mean? You get bored of cats or something?
Oh.
All the cats I had were really, really good boys. I never had like a shitty cat.
Now's my chance.
Gotta raise them right.
Oh. What the fuck was that? It made me go fast while standing still.
Yeah, we better find a cat outside or any animal. Did you know that if you find any animal outside, they're like basically free?
Disappear.
You just like take them home.
I mean, I imagine you could do that with a person too, but it's called something different.
That's not even. That's not. I don't really know if that's free. That's illegal. You gotta find something that can't consent to use.
Oh my god.
Man, I want the fox. I want foxes to be legal.
Finish!
I think I unlocked my potential. I need to talk about something random, and I will finish first.
Any doubt?
Oh, I'm gooped out.
This is
that
my
one you
least
adopted me
favorite
to?
map.
Nah, we blame it on the map. It's okay.
Well, this
Wait,
is
you
my
don't play?
least favorite.
Oh, never mind.
What's that?
Ah, what the fuck is it? I was gonna ask you to play with the controller.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I'm not a
I saw-
psychopath.
Good. You play Rocket League?
No, not anymore.
What you used to? I know some people who play Rocket League with a keyboard and mouse, and it pisses me off so much.
Why?
It's like it can be. It's weird. Oh, I have a new color. Banana Cruiser. Ooh, okay, hold on. That's something. I think. Put this one. Quick match, Sonic speed, rivals on. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because I'm a rookie and I'm E minus or whatever that
Up
means,
it.
so I can't do shit. Remember things online and then they find outside with the landlord accepted. I don't think that worked. Oh yeah, I found this like $2,000 cat on the street. Outside, alone.
That is how it goes, yeah.
Whoa. Okay, what's missing?
Biscuit, stop!
Blizzard. Blizzy. No, 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 no. I should have streamed this game on the weekend when it was on discount.
Stop.
People wanted to buy this shit because now it's full price again. Provocating without. I mean, you can probably get a cat, and then like if they ever come to the house, you just put it. You just like go away and hide it. That would have been impossible. Like animal people think their house smells normal, but if you're not an animal person, you can see immediately. It's very unique. There's a lot of stuff.
No, I'm a dog guy, but like, I still like, I clean the fuck out of my house because I don't like the dog fur.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got back in Portugal. Like I got okay. So I got 2 cats. I got 1 cat. Was it during COVID? Near COVID. I got 1 cat. And then because we were gonna like work and she was gonna be alone, I got another one, just like a pair. And they could like not be depressed and bored. And then my mom didn't want any cats. She was like, "Ooh, cats, blah, whatever." What ended up happening is she liked them too much. And then she randomly just started appearing with more cats. Like out of nowhere, I think I was streaming once and she got into my room and literally just told me, "I found this outside, here we go, I gotta go." And it was like is that Persian? A long fur white cat. And I'm like, what the fuck?
was like some kind of version in it.
No, it was like she's like he has homophobia on the eyes too. Like yeah, she has my eyes.
Oh, she
And, like,
had
it's a-
homophobia?
Yeah, she has homophobia on the eyes, and it's a really expensive cat, and she's just outside. We put some posters up and stuff, but nobody said anything, so we just kept it. And turns out she was pregnant.
Someone does.
So on my birthday, actually, she gave birth to 4 cats, 4 kittens.
Aww.
Yeah, and we kept one.
It's not your
because-
birthday anymore.
No, it's Kitten's birthday. But I was watching a movie again. It was something. Yeah, I don't remember what.
Is it
And
Aristocats?
shit. I don't even remember actually. And we gave away the cats obviously because we can't keep looking. I don't even know how much cats. Because we had 3 cats before because she found another one. He's a Siamese. Literally went to my parents' house, my grandparents' house. The cat was cute and they brought it and I was like, okay, sure.
Biscuit, please!
So we had like 8 cats at one point, right? If you count the newborns. It was fucking insane.
Fuck.
And my mom didn't like them cats when I got them and I was like, Mom, stop. Ugh.
Alright. She's getting antsy. I can't do this. I think that's my sign.
They're gonna go
I gotta
and
quit while
leave
I'm
me.
ahead.
Abandon. Yeah, are you ahead? Did you?
I don't
Are you
know what I
behind
am.
actually?
If
You can't
count how
quit
many
before
I've
you
won.
come on.
I'm still up. I've won enough. She's also getting on my nerves. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my mama pause and I kept yeah. Ooh, guy just played. Yeah, I thank you for joining actually.
Of
You're the one
course,
giving
enjoy
me
your
company.
games, though. Dude, you're good. You're good. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, imagine if I actually knew what I was doing.
Imagine you might actually be gooder.
I'm gonna be good at her.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. 07 chat. They gone. I'm gonna take this. Wow. Say bye to BB. I mean, I'm gonna keep playing. Zen, if you want to keep going, this is kind of cool. I gotta keep building my shit. And I gotta level up here. Meow, 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 meow. Let me see if I can poke someone on my friends list. Can I see who has the game? Is that possible? Maybe over here. I think it just tells you like everyone, right? Yeah, it's just fucking everyone. Okay. But maybe the people with the pictures. Hold on. I mean, there's Bubbles and Kane, but I doubt they're fucking alive. Hold on, let me check. Let me check. Nope, dead. 07. Let's switch characters a little bit. I kind of want to try.
Let's go.
Silver. Handling. Steve. You know what? Sure. We'll do Steve and then Atsumika. Ah, look at that shit. Steve had a car. Where's Steve's car? Oh my god. Hell yeah. This is gonna be fucking ass. What the fuck? Man, you know, you never know, chat, how alone a stream feels until your guest leaves. Now I'm like, god damn, there's so much silence here. I gotta keep talking to you or I'll die. The box is pretty good. Really? Okay, let's test. Let's see. I don't fucking have these ones. We did Chow Park, Radical Highway. We did all of these. Ocean View Mansion. I don't think we did Wonder. No, we did Wonder Museum, right? Metal Harbor. Colorful Mall. Sure, why not? Box. Meow, meow, meow. Oh. I'm gonna farm the fuck out of this game because next time I play with her, I'm gonna like be max the fuck out. This looks so dumb. I'm sorry. Hell yeah. Oh, I have a gadget slot. I forgot about that. Okay, what does it do when you jump? What does it do when you jump? He's emoting! He's fucking emoting! Yeah, mind them, boy. Oh, they really got it. They really got this, like, right with this game. I don't know how to explain. I played the demo. I wasn't, like, very convinced. But maybe it was the speed I was playing or something. This is really fun. It doesn't feel like just a Mario Kart ripoff. It's way faster. They got like the Sonic Speed thing going on. Ow. Oh no. Ah, damn it. Oh, it's an Omo Chow. Fine. Sonic has to be zoomed. Yeah, okay, so the Sonic All-Stars Racing Transform was kinda a little bit more Mario Karty. He had the whole transform mechanic, but this one feels like actual its own thing. They really got the speed right, and this is not even the fastest. I gotta unlock that shit. It's really fun. I think I'm gonna have a stroke playing this, honestly. Oh my god, they look at each other when they pass. Come on. Go drop down. Ow. What the fuck just happened? Unfair. Ah, a second.
Finish!
Oh, I need to talk. So I don't know if I can say this. I think I can. The glove people are gonna make a fingerless thing. I think, which will make these gloves so much better for VTubing at least, because they're hurting my hands a little bit. I mean, we've been playing for like 2 hours, but look at this though. So fucking cool. If I get the controller right, it actually look way better. You're hungry? Go eat. Are you winning yet? Yeah, look at me. Wait, I won? I fuck? Oh, I guess I won against the thing there. You know what's similar between a football fan and a furry? What is it? Tell me. The Sakura IOC wins. I don't think anyone else has the game. Check if this game is on the Switch. You guys may be able to play actually. I don't think this is a game for her. I don't think she will do well in this game. It was like fucking have an anxiety attack or something. I also have Alex. Let's do Miku. We're going Miku. We're going Miku. Miku with not the power. Let's go Miku speed. Yeah, Alex like Miku. You know what? Oh hell yeah. Other Futuro Fudora. I'm broke too, I didn't get paid yet, okay. Oh, Ring Mercy, Damage Mercy. Get rings after taking damage. Prevents sleeping on sand and ice. Get the boost on falling, of course, when bumping into walls. Like, slight increase speed. Ooh, okay, wait, hold on. Let's do this. Oh, you have a Borgie car. To go. The fucking SpongeBob. King Boom Boom is the item. Oh, so that's the fucking ghost that keeps screwing me. I gotta learn the items. Palace Stadium, Sandy Road, maybe. I think we like. I think we went everywhere. Well, let's see. Let's just let it decide. Okay. Oh, does it just cancel? There's no way. Okay, random. I'm actually thinking. You know these little things I have on my hands, the trails. I may put them on the controllers instead. Oh, that's cool. I hope it's not too different. I never use one of these boost fingers. That's so fucking cool. Miku. Oh, look at me go! That's amazing. I guess I gotta focus on boost, right? And create some shit. Ooh, okay. I get it. It reminds me of that Sonic racing game with the boards. I forgot the name. Does anyone know? Ooh. Oh shit, that was bad. That was bad. That was very bad. Fuck. Sonic Riders? Is it Riders? That's a Sonic game with skateboards. Random track. Riders? Yeah, it was Riders. I don't think I played a lot of Riders. Ah, shit. Goddamn. I'm being kind of awful at this map. That's what it reminds me. Yeah, Sonic Riders, they have the hoverboards, yeah. Hi Kane, how you be? Shit. Yeah, this one, I'm not gonna win this one, not gonna lie. Fuck. Look at this. That was bad. Sonic Rivals? Was it Rivals? I think the game was like Sonic Rivals. But there's Sonic Heroes. And Sonic Heroes, you have the 3 characters. It's like 3 teams. Oh shit. It's like 3 teams. You're gonna do like a little, you know, tower or whatever. And then there's Sonic Rivals. Fuck me, man. Everyone for moving to a new apartment. Congrats, man. Did you buy or rent? Like, is it a new house or are you like moving places? What the fuck? Oh, this is weird. I got followed with fire. Sonic Riders are so walled. Oh, wow. Listen. What the fuck? I fell off the map. Not that old. Oh god, I'm getting super distracted. This is not going well. I think it's because BB is gone. Yeah. I don't need to show off my skills anymore, chat. That's why. Okay, at least I'm not gonna get last play. Yeah, this round was fucking awful. Have they do anything with them? Added birds and then nothing as far as I know? What do you mean? I don't want to add the birds crew. I don't know what you're talking about. Really stupid. Okay, Miku fucking sucks. We're not gonna do the Miku anymore. Or at least the board. Oh, I like this car. I wanna get this car. Okay, I don't like that car at all. gonna go with Miku again, but we're gonna go with little speed boy. Was it this one? Yeah, this one. Go with Eggman color. Rent bigger apartment. Bigger studio space. No more psychotic landlords or death threats. You know what? That is good. I got some photographs that was vamping at the Sonic World, and I painted Magic Stagger. Oh no, they're here. I know what you mean. I'll show you. They're here. Can I see them? These guys, right? Ah, fuck. The crocodile and the little like mosquito or whatever he is. Record and produce music in peace again. Bro, I'm happy for you. I hate, like, I don't know why people want to be so shitty to others. Like, it's stupid. I hope you have an amazing time on your apartment. The one I am right now, I'm actually really lucky. I'm not sure if it's because, like, I feel like this is super sound suppressed, you know, like super sound. I don't know. I never had any complaints. It's 10 p.m. right now on a Tuesday. I'm streaming. I'm like being a little bit loud. I'm in a room that's supposed to be a room, but I made it my office. It's pretty big, so they're probably sleeping upstairs. Never had a complaint. Like, I don't know if they're like being chill or if they actually can't hear me. I'm pretty happy. I have people upstairs, and I was kind of scared because, you know, as a streamer, in Portugal, I actually had an issue with the downstairs neighbor when I started there because I streamed pretty late and they couldn't sleep. But right now, it's fine. That's why I kind of wanna get a house in, like, I don't like apartments because as you know, I do a lot of VR, I'll do a lot of gaming at night and whatever, and that's gonna suck if you're my neighbor. I wanna get my own individual house with like a backyard, so I can scream my heart away and like nothing happens. I think my voice may be like monotone and chill because I always had to restrain it probably. I could never like go on your neighbor. She's a professional singer. Oh man, you guys got a collab now. Shit, there's a big car behind me. Let me know how it goes, man. And if you ever produce something, I want to hear. I gotta commit the... I don't know if Hatsune sucks or I'm just bad. This map looks like it's from Sonic Adventure 2, actually. Fuck. No skill issues here, only skill. And I'm super slidey. Fuck you, Silver. That was bad. And fuck, wrong side. This slides so much. Yes, I fucked myself. Oh my god, please. This may be the last round, by the way, chat, and then we can like probably just watch some memes or like relax a little bit. And then I'll have to go commit the EP. I wish I could stream for like 5 hours on a Tuesday, man, but I will end like at 4 AM or something. And I'm being worse.
Finish!
You hear screaming someone in his house. Hagaba.
Nice!
Oh, this is Miku singing. That's cool. Okay, now one more. I gotta get this thing. I like this card. It looks really cool. Fuck Mikado. Okay, hold on. I gotta switch. I gotta go with. I'm sorry, but I seen for Shadow was it's pretty good actually. Yeah, we can keep this guy. Earthquake expert. Nice squawk. Quick charge.
Nice cock.
Let's do a quick charge and get rings when using lash panel. Oh, can I do like double speed? Let's do acceleration. Yeah, I think this is good. This is good, chat. I'm gonna win this one. You will see. If it's not a map that I fucking hate. And if you don't, I will cry about it in the corner and be sad. Rainbow Garden. Rainbow Garden. Simple and pretty. Oh, look at that! Look at Blaze's car. You know, one of my favorite Sonic characters is actually Blaze. He's fucking pretty. He has fire. Oh yeah, look at that boost! Holy shit, that's so much better. I think if I do like a boost build with this boost thingy, it'll be pretty powerful. Oh, that's Zenso Strokes card. Oh, just you replace. It's a really good card. Pretty. How? Ow, you motherfucker. I'm gonna learn how to like air drift. I don't know if everything is good or not. Oh shit! Dorito, fuck, you scared me! Hi! Dorito raid, hello! Tennis ball raid? Oh, where? Balls? Okay, gotta go there. How you be? Thank you so much, bro. Give Dorito a shout out, he's fucking amazing. So much fucking talent, okay? I think I saw, yeah, you were on the slushy show thingy. Talent show, it was amazing. Tennis ball raid, thank you. We're playing Sonic, fuck, okay, I'm getting screwed over here, my left. We're playing the new Sonic Racing Crossworld, because I had a friend that seems for Sonic 2 like me. She's gone now, but it's fun. I bought the game like 2 days ago. I should have bought this before. Oh, the video came out great, yeah, man, you were amazing. I didn't know you could do that actually, it was impressive. I still gotta reach out to you if I ever want to do something together. Shit. Ah, fuck. That was bad. Ow. Yeah, I promise I won a lot, but now I'm getting like shitty. I don't know why. It's Zenstroke's fault, honestly. Come on, let's go. Come on. Oh, fuck off!
Finish!
You're gonna have soft tacos later? Yes, I will pick you up by your harness.
Embarrassing.
You're gonna dangle, and I'm like, well, soft tacos later. There. I got 4. That's not that bad. Oh fuck! Wait, I didn't beat them. They did it in second and third. I think. Oh wait, but it counts. It counts because okay, yeah. I think Zen beat them. So like, does it count? I think it counts. Yes, we got the car. Doguna, you laugh, you lose. Yeah, man. If you ever want to. I mean, I have episode 69 coming. I was gonna invite someone special, but I don't know who actually. Yeah, you beat him because I did, yeah. That's a cool new car. But, oh fuck. Oh, I did, oh shit. Oh god. Oh, that's bad. I did chest, shoulder, and tricep there at the gym, and I tried just like pulling myself up on my chair now. Ow. Ah, this is not good. Oh. Oh, I'm starting to feel it. Fuck. Oh, wait, today was rest day. Oh, I'm screwed tomorrow. Well, yeah, good racing, man. It was super fucking fun. Oh, I have my protein shake here. I gotta finish it. Be careful. No, it's fine. I'm just like super sore. Okay, how the fuck do I go back? I hold. Yeah. Wait, can I want to add you first though. Hold on. Because I don't think I have you. So I'm just gonna go like, yeah, I like you. Yeah, I like you. And then I want to add as a friend. No kick. The other day. Did I say the other gym, actually? So I'm sorry. My brain like is fucking broken. Your life fields are funny. Do you really think so? I kind of feel insecure because I'll explain after the game. Let me just close this. New gadgets are now available. I'm gonna unlock so much shit. Yeah, I gotta unlock a lot of crap in this game. Sonic Racing Crossroads chat. If you wanna play with me or like just play by yourself, it's a really fucking good game. Not sponsored. I just sim for Sonic. Okay, let me put some music because I hate having peace and quiet. We don't want any of that. Yeah. Alright, let's do... Oh, there we go. Correct one. I need to turn off my controller. You know what I'm gonna do? I can do something, chat. Ready? I'm gonna eat it. Controller. Sweaty controller. Okay, let me just adjust you guys a little bit. Just chatting, and we switch to just chatting a little bit. I'm not ending yet. We can do like a little bit more. I just want to go over here. Yeah, that was really fun. That was really fucking fun. I kind of want to do that more often. I need to do more gaming things with friends, because... Okay, this song is not letting me. Let's do some synthwave. I kind of gotta think, and this shit is not letting me think. I gotta do more You Laugh You Loses. I was gonna say I gotta do less You Laugh You Loses, because I'm kind of getting brain rot from You Laugh You Losing all the time, and this is kind of refreshing. Brain, you can do it. English. Yes. Oh, crack. Habba. Brain, you can do it. Okay. The gloves are like behaving surprisingly well today. Honestly, I was not expecting it. I can just be like this. Bah. So, chat. Chat. Man, I really gotta get some clothes on this. I have a clothes version, but the eyes don't work. It's like kind of annoying. I feel naked, man. I don't like this. Oh, check what I found. Forget about it's not worth it. Oh, it's like a breathing thing, right? Yeah. Before you do anything, I want to check my microphone. Okay, we have the good preset going. Wow. I'm gonna open Opera GX and I'm just gonna vibe. We're gonna vibe a little bit, see some things. I'm gonna DM a few people because while we see things, I gotta DM a few people because I have. Okay, so I kinda that's a browser, and then we have to take off the background. Ish, there you go. I have kinda. I looked with my friends right here, Snoot and Hero. I've kinda Outdid? I don't know what to call it actually. I have a lot of shit going on in the background. A lot of avatar work, a lot of emote work, a lot of art things going on. Because I was bored at work. I DM'd a bunch of people, mostly friends. And I was like, hey, this is, I want this. Hey, I want this. Hey, I want this. So I'm like, shit, now I'm overwhelmed. So we're gonna watch some the memes, maybe daily dose, while I like watch with you guys and just DM people about it, I guess. I want to get the new ref sheet for this avatar. I want to get some new emotes. There's like a bunch of crap going on. Oh, and it's kind of overwhelming. Who would have known? You know, doing things is overwhelming. Oh, most of them will nature videos ever.
These
You
are
know
the
what?
most
Shit.
unbelievable nature videos ever. I spent the last few weeks looking across the internet for the most unbelievable nature videos that I could find. I looked for videos on YouTube, Instagram,
Oh, this is a
Reddit,
different,
and
like,
put all the
thingy going
best
on.
ones in one video right here.
Wanna see
so I hope
updates? Thank
enjoy.
you, bro. I did all over the place. Your point is your point.
Are you kidding me right now?
Is that fucking safe?
Oh.
Jesus.
Oh no. Oh. Oh. Jesus.
Someone found a crazy cube-shaped cloud in the UK.
Okay, chat, how about this? I will show you. Before we go to, I will show you one of the things. I will show you one of the things. I will show you a preview of one of the things. Let me save it. Yeah. Image already exists. We know. This is the preview of one of the things. It's a render, so it's still work in progress, okay? But it's one of the things. And that's all you get. It's really fucking cool. It's gonna be way better. It's gonna be way better. Trust me. They're just like working on it.
This is what it looks like when an iceberg flips over. This super strange event happened in India, where the ground started suddenly rising up. It's thought to have happened due to heavy rainfall creating pressure in the ground.
Makes sense.
नया तजुर्बा जमीन का अपना नया तजुर्बा मेरे भाई ले कबार से पीछे ले कहीं तो भाई
The fog clears out so fast as soon as they get to the other side of this mountain.
Oh, that is fucking cool. That is cool, boy. Is that the Peonies monument? Oh, goddamn.
This is the most intense hail I've ever seen.
No more racing? Yeah, no, I'm like relaxing a little bit. What the fuck did I just say? Relaxing a little bit.
This is a really cool phenomenon where the ice on frozen lakes can make crazy noises as it thaws.
Oh, is it like... Yeah. That's so fucking cool.
This is called a sundog, but it's a very rare type of sundog because it is so low to the ground. The light reflecting off falling snow made what looks like a portal to another dimension.
Bro, that's a glitch. It's glitching. Look. I gotta jump on it.
This giant river of lava totally shut down this road in Hawaii.
Oh, okay, chat. I saw this video. So, when I was a kid, I used to watch movies, and like there was a lot of volcano movies. And the lava in the movies is slow, right? It's super slow. Look at, like, this is fucking terrifying. Look at this shit.
This guy
What the
pulled his
fuck?
car out of his house.
That's terrifying.
This guy
That
pulled
is
his
fucking
car out of
terrifying.
his house just for his house to be destroyed seconds later.
Agaba.
That's right.
River of Lava, boy.
This diver found an underwater portal to another world.
This looks like fucking makes me. Oh, goddamn! I cannot fucking speak and scroll at the same time. Makes me think of
This person was out
Subnautica.
sailing near the Pacific Ocean when suddenly their boat was surrounded by rocks. These floating rocks turned out to be pumice as a result of an underwater volcanic eruption.
Oh, 07 garage. At least the card is fine. Let me get my Telegram. Bro, I have someone on Telegram too. I'm gonna get a Northern Aspil made by a friend that I haven't actually spoken in ages, and they
This is
just
a
appear recently. I'm like, oh my
phenomenon
god, I
known
miss
as
you.
flash.
Thing,
A crown
thing,
flash
thing for me.
occurs when electrical charges cause ice crystals to suddenly shift.
Me cago en Dio. There's like a shit snow, like snow thing, like snow fucking.
Back in 2011, the Japanese Coast Guard captured the moment that they went over a giant tsunami. These trees were completely swallowed up by a huge sinkhole.
Yeah, Northern Aspil, yeah. I mean, I can show you a little preview too, hold on. Since we usually don't have like many people on streams, like compared with other platforms, I like showing off, you know, previews because it will rarely
This is
get
the
out
Cave of
too
Death
much
in Costa Rica.
into the world.
The carbon dioxide levels are so high that they immediately extinguish any flame that comes inside.
Oh, this is the deadly caves, right? Like if you ever see one of these and you sleep on it by accident, you can die because there's no oxygen there. It's crazy.
The wind blow in the sand looks like something from a movie.
I'm gonna save it as downloads.
These tourists at Yellowstone National Park witnessed a huge hypothermal explosion.
Holy shit. That's a cool name, a hypothermical explosion. God damn. Alright, chat, look at this. Look at this. One preview. At least one of the sites. It's not complete yet. It's just like details. But I think it's gonna look pretty cool. It looks really, I love the Northern. I'm gonna try and get this with the AR kit. I need more VTuber things for Waterloo, but I really need them to be AR kit. Otherwise, it doesn't work. This Vui, I kind of not made it myself, but I adapted to AR kit with a little program.
Norway captured the most incredible Aurora Borealis.
Oh no, I didn't see shit. I didn't see this at all, man. Kinda sucks.
Wow.
Wow.
So stark, glaube ich, habe ich die fast noch nie gesehen.
This guy found a really
Norwegian
low
noises.
rainbow.
Make a VTuber model change redeem. That's my goal. That's my
This
goal.
giant rain bomb dropped
Telegram
millions of
rises.
liters of water over Nevada within just a few seconds.
Because... Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna fuck it up, but... I have it set up. So, like, I can actually... Okay, so... Waterloo just crashed. That is not what I wanted. It fucking exploded, chat. Waterloo exploded. I'm on the beta. Maybe they fix it on the update. Regular update. That's okay. Let me try and launch this again. Waterloo fucking exploded. That's good. That's amazing. I can switch character. That's what I meant. Apparently I cannot, but that's not like what the fuck, man. I will bite you, Mizu. Look, that's the person who's making the Aspil. Get him, chat. Mizu, I'm gonna give you VIP. You've been here for too fucking long, man. I don't know why you're still normie boy. There you go. Bite me now. Okay, okay. Fuck, now I gotta calibrate again. Hold on, chat. I can do this. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. We can do this. Why don't I have sound? Okay, defaulted to the thing. Okay, let's calibrate.
Make a fist. Bring 5 fingers together.
Ignore the calibration noises.
Spread 5 fingers apart. All set.
Okay, this one is calibrated. I have fingers now. This is so dumb. Oh, and enjoy the soft vibes. Yeah, enjoy the VIP, man. You're amazing. I missed you. Okay. I gotta calibrate this shit. Hold on. Calibrate. Ah, fuck. Left and unassigned. God damn it. Left hand is right hand is F1 if I wasn't mistaken. Yeah, there you go. I just gotta go and hold on. Keep posing. Yeah. Oh, do I have fingers? I have fingers. There you go. I fixed it. I think I'm gonna avoid switching characters. I'm on the Warudu. Oh, I gotta touch somewhere. You guys can see. Ah, look at my trackers. You can see them now. I gotta click somewhere else. There you go. Playing Twisted alone. No, like, ugh. So it works. I've tested it. It just doesn't work now. I don't know why. I'm on the beta of Warudu because something was crashing on Warudu. I gotta probably reinstall it and set up again. Hagog Bababa. Alright, let's just keep playing the video. You're the one I had. Oh, you! I remember you! Yeah! Yes! Kaya had this squeaky pull out like avatar with head patting noises on their hands. Oh, that was so fucking like funny. It was so cool. If you could be a Teletubby, which one would you be? I don't know their names. Can I be pink? I want to be pink.
These people saw something huge moving in the water in Norway.
Why is everything Norway? Holy sh! This is here? I'm not even going to the water again.
The California wildfires in 2017 created this crazy visual of people driving to work in the morning. These bugs were spotted creating swarms directly over the road markings. These are called Kelvin-Helmholtz clouds, and they occur when a difference in wind speed and direction pushes clouds into these wave-like shapes.
Looks like you can surf them.
You're hoping? Kinda.
This crazy halo cloud was spotted in Japan.
You're hoping? Kinda. Ping, Tinky Winky, Deep Sea. Ah, man, Tinky Winky has to be Tinky Winky.
This tornado decided to spawn its own baby tornado.
Look at this crazy cloud.
Oh, holy shit.
Cloud.
Looks like the end of the world.
These people captured the moment a lightning strike caused the whole city's power to go out.
Lola, did you get it? Oh,
blackout.
That's cool. They didn't get a blackout though.
This guy in New York found an upside-down rainbow.
The sky. It's getting bigger.
Like every 20
It's falling.
seconds.
Jesus.
This is called
Second
a
coming.
green flash, and it's a very rare moment when the sun creates a burst of green light during sunset. This can only happen when atmospheric conditions are absolutely perfect.
Oh, that's nasty. That is nasty. That's like foam. Ooh. That looks fake.
They were
Is this like shit or something? Like in the water? I don't think I want to touch that.
When the ice started coming after them. This incredible starling migration was spotted in Wales.
Looks like bread though. It does look like, you know, it looks touchable, but I don't think I want to touch it. Scary. Scary foam. The forbidden foam party.
This
Do you guys remember the foam parties?
This incredible
It used to be like a thing in Portugal, like all over the place.
Oh, wow.
These guys saw that their boat was being chased by killer whales.
That's not scary at all. Holy shit. God damn, bro.
This is how quickly an avalanche can move down a mountain.
Is he just gonna stay there and film it? Like, hello? Like, move!
Oh god. Oh dear god.
One part on Kids Day by firefighters. Ours were meant for adults.
They were chopping
They had
down
like
this
on
dying
discos.
tree when it started gushing out water. This tree had a very specific type of internal rotting that allowed it to store water in an unusual way.
Wow.
That's fucked, right? The tree's fucked. That can't
The
be
water
like healthy.
level in this harbor completely changes throughout the day as the tides change.
Oh, this is really cool. That's a lot. 3 pits. Oh, what the fuck? That is a lot. You basically have a free dry dock.
For some reason, all the rain fell in this one area. These people witnessed a huge ice drift on this river in Russia.
That's you, the tree, you're the tree. I'm the peace tree? Why am I the peace tree? I don't want to be the peace tree. I'm not even Raccoon is the peace person. I'm supposed to be the vor and apparently feet and now male pregnancy.
Back it up, back it up, back it up.
Back it up, Jerry.
Back it up.
This is a super rare type of lightning called
Oh,
a
thank you,
red
BB.
spray.
You were
They
amazing.
occur at a higher altitude to regular lightning, which is why it looks so unique.
Oh, the red. This is so cool. Oh, fuck. EP. Gotta finish my protein shake today and just go to sleep, actually.
This person was traveling in the North Sea when they noticed that they were able to see day and night at the same time.
That is fucking insane. That messes with your brain. What the hell?
A tornado spawned.
Oh
right
wait, chat.
next to
Speaking about this, so you guys are in Norway. We have the midnight sun, right? So like in summer, it's gonna be sun at like midnight till 3 a.m. in the summer. I'm thinking about doing. I was thinking about like this concept of when I have my motorcycle and I have my setup, my IRL streaming thing. I want to do like a stream that's called like chasing the midnight sun or something, and I will drive from like, you know, like the normal stream time until midnight somewhere, and it's gonna be day, so I think it's gonna be cool.
Erupting volcano.
I have like kind of an idea. It'd be like a cool motorcycle stream to do. Fucking my hair, man. It's too big. Oh, hell yeah. As long as you bring McDonald's back, I'll try not to die.
The super long roll cloud was spotted a few years ago in Virginia.
Hey, Virginia. We were there. I was there, actually. West Virginia. No, no, no. Nah, nah, nah. Oh my god, you can see me unlock my phone. Look at my hand. Come on. There you go. Holy shit.
This is called a Parhelion illusion. A cloud will make it look like that there.
What messes with my brain is the video that showed up a couple of days ago of someone getting launched off a truck at the exact opposite speed and just dropping into the... Oh yeah, if you match the speed in the opposite direction, it cancels out.
Or 7 suns. These two
it makes sense, but it's pretty trippy.
In China, showing off the effect. These huge waves were captured hitting this ferry back in 2022.
That person got fucked. You see that? Look at this guy.
This meteor over Japan was so bright that it turned the night into day. These people found a glitch in the Matrix.
Yo, it looks like when the anime protagonist like cuts up the sky. Like it's a rift, like pew.
This iceberg floated right past his village in Greenland.
Not the sky bussy, man. Ah, you ruined it. Look at the little glacier just like going.
This person spotted a crazy light pillar in Virginia.
Bro, I swear to God, like this is. I feel like this is game stuff. This is game engine. This is the glitch. We can probably walk into it and go to another dimension. Bro, you guys have a dash cam. Just use that. Oh, the foam.
That is so good.
Can you die like this? Like the foam just fucking goes above you. I was not expecting that.
These people walking through a desert in China experience some extreme natural static electricity.
Okay, I heard about this before. This is bad, right? It means lightning strike somewhere close.
So I guess
you should probably not be happy.
As this one was spotted in Kentucky a few years ago. This is what it looks like when 64,000 turtles come in to nest on one island.
What the fuck? That is a lot. Oh my god. Man, nature is impressive. Whoa. Nature is impressive. Turtle. Sea turtle. Oh shit, I gotta upload a video for Bardic too. Fuck, man, I have so much stuff. Chat, when I'm ending, spam upload Bardic's footage, please.
Looks like during a solar eclipse.
Scream at me. I want to be screamed at because otherwise I'll forget.
This is a perfect Fata Morgana, which is an illusion where it looks like boats off in the distance are floating in the air.
Oh yeah, floating in the air.
It's basically a mirage that is happening on the ocean instead of the desert.
Upload, you got it. Yeah, just scream at me. That's crazy. Y'all gonna die. It looks like y'all gonna die. This is the last thing you see before like an alien, giant alien
in China.
Jesus, man. Not Bardic's Fate. You know what? Bardic's Fate are fine. I'll
In
manage.
2022, there was a volcanic eruption so huge that it could actually be seen from space.
Holy, that is massive. Bro. I think it's bigger than Portugal, actually. Holy. Why is the Earth round? I don't fucking know. I don't know, make it.
Oh my god.
I had no idea that tornadoes could move this fast.
It's a tiny NATO instead of another NATO. Tornadoes like actually scared me, bro. This
These
is like
strange clouds appeared in Spain right after a huge flood, and no one really knows why.
Bro, if you're religious, like you look at this shit, right? And you're like, I can kind of see where all the mythology shit comes from. Imagine being like in medieval times, and you look up, and it's just like, well, yeah, it's over. Hell is coming. Well, fuck. The end of times. The blood sacrifice for the blood god. Blood for the blood god. I can understand, man. I would sacrifice people to the blood god too if I saw that. Oh, that was okay.
Watch these walls. Oh,
that's
my
cool.
God, bro. What?
These people got to witness a full solar eclipse from an airplane.
No way. One in a lifetime, man. One in a lifetime. That's insane. See? Blood for the sun god.
This is Inspector, and it's a rainbow that is created when the sun is directly behind someone during foggy conditions.
Get this. Look at that rainbow. That's so cool. Wow.
These scientists flew their plane into the eye of the storm, and the wall is absolutely massive.
Holy. Bro, the eye of the storm is so peaceful.
This
like,
guy found the exact place.
I would love to, but I'm scared, you know what I mean?
This guy found the exact place where this underwater spring starts.
Oh, it comes like from just there? Okay. I didn't, like, okay. I mean, it makes sense, I guess. That building is just gone. Holy.
This person caught a super...
Chat, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works.
Hello?
Hi. What?
Hello.
What do you want, LJ?
What do you mean what I want? I want $1 million, but you don't see me here. Oh, hello. Are you streaming? I swear to God.
What do you want? Like,
are you streaming?
Yeah, I'm busy. What do you want?
Oh, I don't. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you want? You're the one who called me.
Bro, I was busy. What like just what is it? What do you want to talk about?
I have a confession.
Oh?
I am Filipino.
How dare you?
I'm Filipino. Your best friend might be Filipino. Please talk to them.
Why is that
Wait,
a meme now?
I don't know. Apparently, it was just Filipino, but I guess. What did you call me? What do you mean?
No, you called me.
Who said?
What? You called me.
I did not call you. I did not. Stop
called
gaslighting me. I didn't say shit. No, I did not.
No,
I heard you calling.
I'm like busy. I'm watching you laugh like a fucking Daily Dose video, and I'm like, oh.
There is no way I called you. Stop gaslighting me.
Just like, what do you want? So I can go back to the thing. Tell me, quick.
I'm not doing. I'm literally in VR. I did not do anything. Are you gaslighting me? Please tell me yes, because like I'm like thinking about it, is like really like
you butt dialed
terribly.
me, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
No, I
did not.
How? I mean, I know my ass is
Hi,
fat, but you know.
Bunch of popular VTubers turn out to be Filipino.
I'm looking.
You know what? I fucking love that. The best fucking country to be a VTuber from. I stand for that. We need more Filipinos.
Because Morgan literally told me, he said it to me like at like 3 in the morning. He was like,
it started appearing.
What's wrong?
Like so
Why-
many.
why
I'm
are
like,
you
what is
Filipino?
happening? Why so many Filipinos? What the fuck?
Please tell me. Like, I don't even know. I don't see a shot. I don't have your Twitch show. Like, please tell me that you're gaslighting me.
No, you called me, right, Chet? You called me.
No, I did not.
Yeah.
I
they
swear
can
to God, I'm
know,
gonna
it
look at
doesn't
your fucking
show.
like VOD later. I will be mad. Okay, I will be mad.
You're looking at my VOD later. You mean you're not looking at it now? How dare you?
I watch it like every single time you stream. I do watch your VOD. You know that, right?
Yeah, you know you could join. I keep inviting you, but you're like, no, I want to be a viewer. Whatever.
What do you mean? I'll do
Filipino
viewer
raid.
and you know.
Filipino raid.
raid.
That'll be a wild raid message. Filipino raid. Let's go. I gotta visit the
terrible.
Philippines. Actually, it sounds like an amazing place.
Let me look at like shit. The first thing I see is like I'm touching LJ. What? Meanwhile,
Everyone's touching
That's
LJ.
right,
Ignore,
okay.
ignore that part. Ignore that part. It's fine.
What do you mean?
Everyone touches
Wait, are
you.
you?
so it's normal.
Let's see. What do you mean everybody touches me? Not everybody touches me.
Yeah. I gotta edit the other thing. We need
I
more, okay.
suck, whatever.
We need more stupid ideas to do because all the videos are doing super
I
well.
literally
People are
sent you
loving
the
you guys, by
thing.
the way. It's
I
been
literally
amazing.
sent you the thing. You know, this the fucking like hungry.
I gotta do the first. I want to do. I need to edit the dinosaur one we did, and then we gotta do more stupid shit.
Yeah.
We should get like we should get like a group chat going where we just post shitty TikToks and we just like start making dumb
I
crap.
just do it. Yeah. Did you wait?
Tell LJ
I know
to give
that.
me a
Did you
kiss.
record me like the ramen? I'll kiss you right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I gotta check it. I have
I'm
a
not sure
shit
if
ton
it's
of-
two pictures or what. Let's see. I was trying to think. What was it? So there's. Do you know Kranos?
Yes, the other Filipino.
Goots. Yes, the other Filipino.
So
Like,
many
whenever I
fucking
see him, I was
Filipinos.
like,
The hell?
yeah, I yell at him. It's like there's only one room for only one Filipino here, and I start punching him.
Well, apparently there's room for a lot of them.
So
No,
apparently
in
so,
Portugal,
like,
we eat Filipinos actually. So this is good for me. There's a lot of Filipinos around. Never gonna run out of food. Oh my God, Donuts is playing Salato Robo. Fuck! I'm gonna raid him. I'm gonna raid Donuts after this. Salato, I played Salato. Did you know Salato Robo, the DS game? Red the Hunter. It's a really rare game
No.
now. It costs like almost $200 because it's becoming really rare. Kind of makes me sad though. It's a furry game. It's a furry game. It has really good. You know what? I'm gonna share. We can share this and then I'll end. Let me show you. Where are you, LJ?
What do you mean? Oh, share
Salato
screen?
Robo Red the Hunter. Salato Robo Red the Hunter. I played this on a DS. It has insane cinematics. Okay, like this. They commissioned like the I forgot, but it's a very famous anime studio. And I got really upset because I thought they had like
Okay.
an anime, but they don't. This is the game. This is the intro of the game. Okay, on the Nintendo DS.
Okay.
Nintendo DS game.
Nintendo DS. Oh, I've seen part of this before. I didn't know it was
It's
an
really
intro.
fucking good. No. It's so good.
Salato Robo. Sola, I think Sola is sunlight or sun. I don't know.
Don't know. Charlotte Robot. This is Nintendo DS. I used to simp for her, the little pink one.
You used to simp for her.
This is the most fucking fun game ever.
I only simp for Renamon. Fuck.
Such a good cinematics for the game. It's a really old game. I don't want to say much because, like, the story is really fucking good. And I can spoil you a thing is, as a kid I was fucking mind blown. Like, the game ends, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a fucking part 2 out of nowhere, like a massive plot twist. And there's like another half of the game. Like, so much content. Like, the plot is insane. I did it too. Yeah, what you're seeing now is part of the plots and whatever, but you don't know. But like, it's insane. It's really fucking good. I was a kid, like I finished the story and I was upset because I was like, oh, the game ended. And then fucking, like, part 2, by the way, this happened, and I'm like, holy shit, okay. That's really good.
What? How was the gameplay of this one? What is the gameplay?
It's completely different, yeah. you control the little robot.
Is it like?
It's kind of addicting, actually.
It like?
It's not bad.
Okay.
There's more cinematics, but it's actually not bad. The OST is really good. No, that's like a full gameplay. Let me show you. 9 hours.
I like how you get like fucking sidetracked.
It's like it's a Nintendo DS game, so it's like this.
Oh, it's Xseed. Okay.
Yeah, and you have a little robot dude over here. And
this is for the DS. It actually looks really good.
DS. Yeah. You control the little robot, and then you walk around. Wait, this is like a main city. Let's see, like, on actual, like, let's fight. Yeah, like, there's bosses and whatever. You control the little robot.
Oh no.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You flip stuff basically, and then you combo, like, yeah, like this. It's actually a really good game. Chat, I recommend emulating this because I would be against emulating this, but this game is super expensive. I've been trying to find this for sale, and like it's like $200 for this game. Oh, I'm too close to the camera. I think the game didn't sell much because it's like, you know, furry bait game. Back when we weren't that popular, so I don't think there was many copies being sold. So now it's really rare, really rare. Chat. We are going to raid Donuts. He's literally playing this game, Salata Robo. That's why I kind of...
Wait, we should... Are we going to do Filipino raid?
Filipino raid? Yeah, Filipino raid. There we go. Chat, copy the raid message. Upload something.
Filipino raid.
Thank you for reminding me. I will upload the Bardic footage. Thank you so much. LG, like my hands. By the way, I'm using the gloves. Look, it's really fucking cool.
Oh, like, yeah. I thought your hands were just like gay. It's all fucking like sparkly.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
I mean, I didn't say I didn't like it.
Alright, chat. See you next time. Next Friday we do VR. And then on this Saturday we have You Laugh, You Lose episode 69. I don't know what to invite. Maybe Dorito Doggo. We'll see. It's gonna be special. I was gonna have Sudu, but she couldn't make it because con and some personal things. But yeah, that's it. Filipino raid, chat. Do not fucking forget Filipino raid. I love you guys. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I need to yoink BB more often. I need to play Sonic offline, actually off stream.
Wait, you called me?
No.
You still haven't answered that. No, I didn't call you.
No. Such, like you're like so no. Actually, like I can't stream and you're like, oh, whatever. God damn.
What the fuck? Oh man, I'm being gaslit. This is really bad for me.
But dial. Alright, bye, chat. Love you guys. 10, 9. You wanna say something real quick, LJ?
Bye.
Say something.
I love you guys.
4, 3, faster. 3. 2,
I might stream again.
1. Wow, self-promo at the end.